Welcome back to our final episode of the Scrappy Business Owner podcast series, where we have been talking all about how you can start a business. So, we have covered a lot of ground over the last few episodes, from you deciding what business you want to start to how to figure out what you need to be spending money on, how to get your URL, how to pick up your name, how to make money. Those are all very important things when it comes to starting a business. And I'm ending this series with the episode all about fear, because fear is going to be something that not only sticks with you at the beginning when you're trying to figure out your business, but it basically just follows you along to just question in your brain what you're doing. And that is a lie from the pit of hell. And so at the beginning, the first episode, we talked about your God-given talents, that the talents that God has gifted you in. And when He has given you a talent that you actually act out on and you start to do, that's when the enemy is like, oh, hold on a second. I don't want her doing that, because we don't want her to do what God has called her to do. So when you are going to be in a business, this could be you in a business, this could be you as a mom, this could be you running around going to corporate America. It could be all kinds of different things. Fear is going to be knocking on our brain's door all the time. And so this episode, I want to just encourage you. This is more like the pep talk for business owners and for people like yourself, whether you're a business owner tuning in or not. But you're going to always face that. You're always going to have things that make you question what you're doing, and it all centers around fear. Now, fear can look different to everybody. Sometimes it's we don't know what we're doing, so we have fear that we're going to do it wrong, so we don't do it. Sometimes fear looks like failure. I don't want to fail when it comes to this business. I have started things in the past and they have failed, so I don't want people to think of me as a failure. So that's another way that fear kind of creeps in. So there's lots of different things that can be chirping in our ear to make us afraid of something. In fact, I have heard people, this might be you, where people are afraid of success. Like if this becomes successful, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I don't know who to hire. I don't have anybody to hire that I can think of. I'm afraid to hire people. What if I fire somebody? And our brains just spiral out of the way. Is anybody else? Let me know in the chat if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're also one of those that can spiral very quickly. In fact, I do it a lot, and my husband has to rein me in. We joke around that he talks me off ledges on a regular basis. And so you're not alone. Anytime you are stepping out into something new and unusual, our brain is wired to be afraid. Our brain is seeing, like, okay, if you're going to step out and do this for your business, your brain is equivalating it to the fact of you are on the edge of a cliff and ready to jump over. Like, your brain doesn't know the difference between all of that. So as you are going into whatever you're facing when it comes to fear showing up in your brain, I want you to, first of all, I want you to acknowledge it, okay? What is this feeling that I'm feeling? And if you kind of start to dissect it, you start to realize the root of what you're feeling that is preventing you from doing something, going forward, making a decision, whatever that is. If there's something in your brain that's making you like have a hiccup, I guess, look at it and dissect it, and chances are it is going to be fear. So, first of all, after you have dissected it and figured out, yep, this in fact is fear, that actually makes things a little bit better because you know how to handle it. Okay. So I will tell you, my business coach, Jennifer Allwood, I love her to pieces. And one of the things that she always says is fear doesn't release you from your calling. If you think about that, that's pretty crazy. Let me see it again. Fear doesn't release you from your calling. At the beginning of you trying to figure out what business you wanted to do, you were trying to figure out what God has called you to do. So fear, whether fear is present or not, you still have to go through with doing what you've been called to do by God. So I want you to just remember that. Okay, I've already determined that fear is the source of where I'm stuck, of the problems that I am moving forward. But even though I have fear, it does not release me from the calling that God has called me to do. So we need to plow forward, okay? The second thing I want you to realize, after you actually realize that fear, in fact, is causing all of the problems, I want you to realize that fear is a feeling, okay? So when we are facing a feeling, we aren't making the wisest of decisions. I can tell you, I have been married 23 years this month, and if you make decisions based on your feelings, whether it's in life or in business, but in this case, in marriage, I will tell you that decisions based on emotional moments do not end well. Can I get an amen? Anybody else have those moments? Where if you base everything on your feelings, chances are nothing is going to go right. Everything is going to go haywire, and it's just a bad decision. So I want you to realize fear doesn't release you from your calling, and fear is a feeling that we can't give voice to. We can't listen to that because we can't make decisions based on our feelings, okay? Let me just tell you straight off the bat, you are not supposed to know how to do everything. Straight up. God wants you to trust fully in Him, which means He has called you to do something that you're afraid of because you don't know how to do it, and therefore you have to rely on Him. Do you see how that is all starting to play in? Is like the enemy puts fear in there, and then he tells you, you don't know how to do this, therefore you can't do this. Whereas God tells you, I've called you to do this. You don't know how to do this. You need to pull on me to get you to do that because I'm the one that's going to help you with that. He gave you the calling. He's going to guide you through it. He's not going to expect you to know how to do everything. You don't have to know anything, okay? There are so many things that I didn't know how to do in business that I still don't know how to do, that I spend a ton of time Googling, or I am always reaching out to the contacts that I have made. So, in one of the previous podcast episodes, I had shared the importance of networking and to make connections, whether it's in a private Facebook group, whether it's networking within a local community. You need to know people. So if you find out that you have some fear, there's a good chance God has put people in your life that can help you, that can help guide you through that. So I want you to realize that. Okay. So when it comes to like facing fears that are out of your control, this is not business related, but I will tell you, when my oldest got his driver's license, and he pulled out of the driveway. I remember praying, Lord, protect him. I can't protect him, so it's legit on you. Like it's all on you. And here I was praying for God to protect my kid while he was driving, telling God that, hey, it actually is on you. It's not on me. When the whole time, you guys, it is on God. God is taking care of you. You have nothing to do when it comes to that. So as my son was pulling out of the driveway, the Lord was like, hey, it's not you that's protecting him. It's me. So why don't we just flip the script on this and just realize that I'm going to be taking care of you. So I want you to realize that's kind of a silly example, but that's how it is for us when it comes to trying to make decisions and we're afraid. We're like, we can't do this. God, can you help me? Well, he's supposed to. He wants to be there. He wants to be your partner in your business. So, as you are starting to make decisions or as you're starting to go out and to do things for your business, when you feel that fear and you recognize that it's fear, you recognize that fear is a feeling and you can't make decisions, you need to focus on who's the source that's going to help you overcome this fear. It's the person or the God that has called you to do it from the beginning. So we're looping it all back to the fact that God has given us a calling. And let me tell you, you have to be courageous in stepping out in your faith to do what God has called you to do. And I have found over the last 10 years of business, I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to just do something. I'm doing it afraid. And then as I do it, I start to get a little bit more confidence in that department. So I've talked in the last couple episodes about how I really don't like video. I don't like showing up on a camera or anything. So those first Facebook Lives that I did were a train wreck. And I hope that they're buried enough in my feed that you can't find them, okay? I was terrified to do those, but I will tell you, 10 years later, here I am doing it with way more confidence, and my heart doesn't race nearly as much. It still does, but not nearly as much. I'm not nearly as terrified as my first Facebook Live is than I am today. So I want you to realize courage is going to help you grow confidence. So you have to be courageous to take the next step. And I want to encourage you as you are making the next step, don't look 5 steps ahead. Look at the one step that makes sense now. Lots of times we get under analysis paralysis. And so we're like, well, I need to be here. And that's three steps ahead when God only wants you to focus on the next right step. So I want you to look this week as you are trying to face your fears and your feelings. And I want you to realize, okay, what is the first step? I'm not looking at three steps ahead. What is the next step that I can do? And it could be making a contact with somebody. It could be doing a Google search. It could be asking ChatGPT. Whatever that next step is, just go and take it. Just that one step will get you closer to what God has called you to do. Okay. Now let's talk about the whole what if I fail bit. Okay. I can tell you with 100% certainty, I have failed on multiple occasions. I have launched programs that have failed. I have done posts that have like totally tanked. I have done Facebook Lives, like I just talked about, that were so cringy. I can't even tell you. I failed, fell on my face 1,000 times over the last 10 years. And that's okay. You're supposed to fail. Like I said, you're not supposed to know how to do everything, but failure is just part of life. It is what it is. And the best thing that you can do when you do happen to fall or fail or whatever, because you're going to anyway, it's inevitable. The most important thing is to step back and to figure out what can I learn from this situation. So I have just recently, I had a bunch of drama when it came to like creating Facebook ads for one of my clients. And we totally fell flat on the face. I had Facebook close in like flagging accounts. I had alerts. I was sending messages to Meta. I actually ended up on a phone call with somebody from Facebook, which I'm very grateful for. But I failed miserably when it came to working on this Facebook ad, the initial piece of it. But in the midst of my frustrations, and it was like several days of frustrations that I was dealing with, I learned a lot about the process of Facebook ads, how I can be better the next time. Now, there's still things that I don't understand that Facebook did that don't make any sense to me. But I had to look at myself and I had to do a self-evaluation and I would had to say, okay, Holly, what could you learn from this moment to not do it again? So I learned how to not do Facebook ads that way. So now I know how to do it in the future. So those are things. It's like when your kid is learning how to walk and he tips over and he falls. Well, you have to let him fall as a parent because he has to learn how to pick himself back up. You and your business is the same way, especially when it comes to fear. So don't worry about failing because you're going to anyway, and we just have to laugh it off. Humor is one of the best things that I have learned over the years. I just have to laugh when it comes to things. When my kids fell and hurt themselves or did something like that, before they could even like get their emotions about them, remember feelings, before they could do that, I would be like, way to go, buddy. Or I would start laughing and we would joke about it. And even nowadays, as my kids are teenagers, we still find those moments. Like maybe they'd make a knuckleheaded decision. And instead of like, parents could be grumpy with them or jump on them, I just laugh it off. And I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. What did we learn from there? So I want to encourage you as you are failing, I want you to like look at the light side of things. Keep it light. Yes, you might have lost some money. I get it. We all have those moments. I've lost a ton of money sometimes with some of my failed launches specifically. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches, move on, laugh it off, make a note of the lessons to learn, and just keep plowing forward. Because the cool thing about it is maybe that was the first step that you took and it was the wrong step to take. Okay. So one of the things, if we're trying to figure out what the next step would be, well, we know not to go that way. Let's try a different step. We have to keep going. We have to ebb and flow with life, and things are always changing. So if we might think that there might be a way to do this, but then God's like, yeah, let's let that one fail and let's try this instead. Because he's a good dad. He wants to encourage us and he wants to redirect us if we need to. Now, one of the favorite scriptures that I will always share with you that I want to encourage you to Google it, print it, put it on a post-it note, whatever it is. And it is Psalms 37:23 and 24. And it says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. And then the next verse is what I got my most amazing revelation from. And it was, though he fall, he will not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. So it is necessary as steps of a good man. You are a good man or a good woman, and your steps are ordered of the Lord. And He's already factored in that you will fall, but you will not fall like super flat on your face because He's going to lift you up and help guide you into the next season of your life. So, as you are trying to face the fears and the feelings that you have going into business, whether it's starting from scratch or you're a seasoned business owner, I want you to remember that. Remember Psalms 37, 23, and 24. Your steps are ordered. God cares about every step of the way. In fact, it says He delights. Like, how many times do we say delightful when it comes to things? It makes it mean that God, you give Him joy when you do what you have been called to do. Even if you fall, He loves that you tried. So I want you to know that as you go about this week, is you're gonna fail, but God's there to pick you up, point you in the right direction, and He's probably going to give you a hug along the way. Honestly, how many times do we need to hear that, right? Sometimes we just need a hug. But anyway, I digress. But I want to encourage you this week. Take steps. Remember, figure out if it's fear. It probably is. And realize it's fear, which is a feeling, and we can't make decisions based on our feelings. And we need to find the next right step and understand that if we fall and if we fail, God is there to help pick us up and redirect us into what we have been called to do. Okay. So I want to encourage you this week as we are wrapping up this series, send me a DM. Let's connect on Instagram or on Facebook at Start Point Media Group. I want to get connected with you and I want you to tell me what fear or feelings are you facing right now that you are going to be stepping out into, because sometimes it's just helpful to like bounce an idea off of somebody else. Maybe they have a better idea on how to do things, and if you send me a DM or even if you like comment on a post or something like that, maybe somebody else will see that and they will be able to give you the encouragement that you need as well. So I hope that this podcast has been a blessing. This whole series has been a blessing to you. So if you would do me a favor, not only just send me a DM, but if you wouldn't mind just rating and reviewing this podcast, whether you're watching it on YouTube or your favorite platform, I would love to hear how this series has been a blessing to you. So tune in next time. I'm not quite sure when my next series is going to drop, but there's lots of other podcast episodes that are still relative to what's going on in the world today. You can always go back and listen to other episodes that I have recorded before. And in the meantime, just connect with me on Instagram or on Facebook, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.